Esfahan was our hub for excursions into the Kavir Desert. We didn't plan this, but it turned out that we came back several times to the beautiful small town with the lovely bazaar and the narrow passages. Not only are the cars sometimes too large for the passages, but so are the data volumes for the Iranian internet. Here, it still means worldwide waiting. At night, we headed for Merenjab Caravanserai in Dashti Kavir. First, we were denied the passage at the entrance of the street. With the help of a local taxi driver, we had the passage the next day, even without permission. On the huge salt lake, tons of salt is mined. Apart from a few trucks and the fat slopes over the dry lake, you can see nothing on the way to Merenjab. The wideness is phenomenal. A little later, the slope becomes narrower, sandy, and bumpy. Ideal land for our car, but also for the camel herds, which are driven by motorcyclist shepherds. Outside the walls of the caravanserai, we opened our night camp. And we found out that camels are like dogs. As soon as something happens in the kitchen, they are on their way. The next day, we climbed the nearby dunes. One step up, half back. But the vision had paid off. And certainly, the ascent had paid off for jumping down. stuck in Kashan and all the way to Esfahan, we met members of a Tehran off-road club. We were stopped by them on the highway because they really liked the setup of our car and were surprised about the foreign license plate. Spontaneously, we decided to spend the weekend in the desert with them. In good Iranian tradition, we were considered as guests from morning to evening, and as quasi-locals, of course. They know great hidden corners behind meter-high dunes. Later in the evening, the thicker the clothes became, and the closer we moved to the fire, we discussed, laughed, and danced until 3 a.m. The thick layer of ice in our sink testified the cold night. Minus 12 degrees Celsius showed the thermometer. We were glad to have our heater in the car. After a great breakfast, we were off to a new location somewhere in the Abu Said Desert. The way was not always easy to find. Where did the Lost Road Club get its name from? In the convoy, we drove to the west and found just before the sunset these beautiful ruins of an old roadside inn. We said goodbye to the Lost Road Club late in the evening and headed for the mountains in Abyaneh, a historic and traditional mountainous village with exclusively red-colored architecture. The village is one of the oldest in the country, and the inhabitants speak their own dialect and still wear traditional clothes. We hiked through the village and stopped outside to get lunch.
Switzerland. Swiss.
Alles Gute. Alles Gute, alles Quality. Dankeschön.
Yes, one also speaks German or even a little Swiss German in Iran. At least at the Meydan Aman Square in Esfahan, one of the largest squares in the world and one of the main attractions of the country. We were lucky enough to see the Royal Mosque without tourists. Only some schoolboys who asked some questions such as, where were we from? And what do we do? In every Iranian city, no matter how small it is, there are certainly three things. 1, a Friday mosque. 2, a bazaar. 3, 100 portraits of Khomeini and Khamenei. Esfahan has much more to offer than that. A nationally known luxury hotel called Abazi, palaces with wonderful murals, and a lively Armenian quarter, which also provides a home for a great music museum. We drove further south to Persepolis and Shiraz, the ancient Persian Empire on the track. Interesting were the small excursions on the right and left of the main street. Partly to see something, partly just to see that nothing is visible. Like here, where we followed a signpost to a train station, but never found a train station. At least not to the point where we had to turn around because of too much snow. Check out episode 3, where we visit Persepolis, Shiraz, and we drive further east to Kerman.